of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad
What's going on? So we're just sitting here in sunny Florida.
In the gutter, in the gutter.
So yeah, not exactly Florida. No, it's about 20 degrees out here in Wyoming. So got in here about 2:45 this morning. And it was a big parking lot. Well, duh, it's a parking lot, but there was trucks everywhere. I mean, I pulled off the highway underneath the bridge, and I was committed, and we got stuck here. So, but that's all right. So, rewind it back a little bit. We started out in San Jose on Thursday. We finally made it across and got over to the 80. Of course, that took forever because you know that Bay Area traffic sucks. So we get up there, and then of course they got the things up there saying that there's chain controls. Okay, they said that when we were on our way in, it was no big deal, there was nothing. But then they had the lights flashing, so you have to pull off, and they give you this. They ask you if you have chains, and you tell them yes, and then they give you this fancy little card, and it tells you what the chain requirements are, what tires you got to put them on, and everything. And they time stamp it, I guess, so that you know they know when you got this. If you know.
Where was that?
This is when right before we headed up towards Donner when I pulled off.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right before
Donner.
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 That's Auburn, right? Or right past Auburn.
Yeah. I-80 heading towards Truckee.
Yeah. I-80 headed towards Truckee. So then, you know, I figured, okay, they just want to make sure you have chains. And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're having a minimum chain up of 4 tires. I'm like, all right. And so, but we're hauling hazmat or haz waste, and this company is pretty much you don't chain. So we get up the road a little bit, and there's a rest area, so we pulled in there and checked the weather reports, and the website was saying that, yeah, that they were requiring chains. So we stayed the night. They finally lifted it Friday morning about 9 o'clock. Yeah, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. And so so we headed out, and it was really stupid because over Donner Pass, I mean, it was just barely wet and a little bit slushy. I don't know why they were having people chain, but you know, I guess, you know, oh no, there's a snowflake. Pfft, chain. So, but it was funny though, because there's all these thrown chains all over the place and everything. And we thought, okay, well, we got through that, but at this point we're going to be late to drop our load on Saturday. So we're just plugging through, and we get all the way through Salt Lake, and it started getting colder and colder. I was like, oh, and then the ground started getting whiter and whiter and whiter. I was like, oh. So, but then we get back up through Park City on I-80, and for the first time ever, this is my second season driving in the snow, and I'd never seen it yet. But we come up right before you hit Wyoming on the 80, big signs flashing, I-80 closed between Rawlins and Cheyenne. It's like, oh, shoot, what do I do? I'm like, well, Rawlins is the other side. I got a little bit of time. So we're driving along, and we come down to this TA in Fort Bridger, and I can see down around the bend that there's a bunch of flashing lights and tail lights, and I'm like, man, I really gotta pee. So I was like, I better hurry up and get off. I don't want to get stuck in traffic jam and have to pee for the next, 6 hours. So I pull off, and as soon as I get off and come under the bridge into the TA, I was like, crap. There's like a million trucks parked in here. There's no way. Once you're in, you're in. It's done. There's no way out. It was like 2:45, and my husband was sleeping, and I was like, crap. I'm like, babe, I think I messed up. It turns out I didn't mess up. It was a good thing. So yeah, it was a really good thing. We ended up getting stuck at the fuel islands. We just kind of wedged our way up behind somebody because the parking lot was so full, and like all the entries and exits, it was just solid trucks. It was just a huge parking lot. There was nowhere to go. People were parked, triple parked on the fuel islands, and I kind of pulled in and I stopped right in the entryway because there was no other trucks behind me. So I was like, babe, I really have to pee, and I don't want to pull all the way in here because I don't know what it looks like around the front of these trucks over here, and the fuel islands are blocked, and I think they're parked, and we might be able to back out of here if we don't move. And he's like, all right. He goes, well, go ahead and go to the bathroom, and I'll see what's going on. So I went ahead and I went inside real quick and did my little penguin shuffle so I don't slip and fall. And because it's like this huge ice rink out there, and as soon as I got out of the truck and walked towards the building, and I looked around those trucks, and I was like, nope. It was just trucks, just all kinds of ways, just parked, and I was like, crap. So I come back out, and we pull forward just a little bit, and because it was kind of like a little slope down into the fuel island, and it's all icy and everything. So we pulled up right there, and of course, about 10 minutes after we decide to go to bed, someone comes, bump, 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 bump. Can you move up a little bit? It's like, so we moved up a little bit. So that was about 3 a.m. So we just shut it down for the night. And about 9 o'clock this morning, someone come banging on the door, like, can you move up a couple feet? I'm gonna try to turn around and get out of here. And we wake up, and there's still trucks everywhere, and nobody was moving yet. I was like, oh, all right. So we moved up a little bit, and it slowly, we checked the weather reports, and it's still closed from Elk Mountain, from Rawlins to Cheyenne. So now it's about noon, and the truck stops cleared out now because everyone's like, oh, because right after we got here, they closed it all the way back to Evanston. They weren't even letting you come this far because everything was all packed up. And they're like, oh, it's clear at Evanston. Oh, it's clear here, and oh, now it's clear all the way to Rawlins. Well, there's about, I don't know, 50 to 100 trucks that just filed out of here all of a sudden, but it's still closed up in Rawlins. So all those trucks that were stuck last night up in Rawlins and Elk Mountain are still there, and now all these trucks have decided that, oh, the road's clear all the way to there, so they're gonna go there, and they're gonna get stuck on the side of the road. So that's the great thing about our company, is we get guaranteed pay. So it doesn't matter. I mean, we sit here for the next, 8 hours, it's not a big deal. These guys are all in a rush, to go make their 38 cents a mile, and they're just going to get stuck down there. And so we're shutting it down. We're going to wait until they actually clear the roads, and then we're going to wait a little bit longer so that all the people, all the parking lot that's going on up there can kind of clear out, and hopefully we'll just skate through. Because at this point, our receiver is not open on Sundays, so we're gonna have to sit on this load till Monday. We're gonna miss our pickup. We had a pickup today at 4 from the same place that we were supposed to drop at 8 o'clock this morning. So we're not in a rush now. So, but that's the thing in winter driving. we're staying here because we have services. You know, we're at the TA. We have access to food, water, facilities. We can take a shower. You know, instead of being stuck on the side of the road with nothing, no bathroom, no nothing. You know, and for you guys, that's not a big deal. But for us girls, you got, you know, 100 trucks sitting out there in a row. You can't just exactly get out and go squat. So we're gonna stay here for a little bit. But that leads me into what I want to talk about today. Today, I'm going to talk about some winter driving tips. As I said before, this is my second season. I drove last winter through Wyoming and everything, but it never was closed when we drove through. But there was some really bad weather, a lot of iced up roads and blowing snow, and you know, a little bit of sliding and everything. And if anybody knows driving about around the United States, Wyoming is like the beast. It's like the worst. It's got the low temperatures, it's got the snow, it's got ice, it's got mountains, it has the blowing snow. I would say the blowing snow is probably the worst part of it because it helps ice up the road. So, but if you're going to be a truck driver, you're going to drive the 80 at some point, and so be prepared. So I made up a little winter driving tips. Now this is just my opinion. My husband's been driving for about 20 years. He drove a lot in the western 11 states, so a lot of mountains, a lot of snow. He's got a lot of experience in that. I would say probably one of the biggest things when it comes to driving in the snow is to slow down, assess the situation, and figure out what it is, what's going on ahead of you. You know, just don't go into it blind. I would say you probably need, you know, a minimum of a full tank of fuel. That you have warm clothes and warm blankets, because you never know what's going to happen. Make sure that you have some food and water. I'd say enough for at least 2 to 3 days minimum. Then, of course, you know, depending on where you're at, a lot of places have their chain requirements from, you know, like November to May. So make sure you have your chains, because we don't chain to go through something. We chain to get out of something. So if they require chains to go, it's safer for everyone, and it's, you know, it's a good bet for to protect your CDL, which is your livelihood. If it's not safe, don't go. Make sure that you have so some other things that you would need is depending on where you're starting out from. If you're starting out in, you know, like Arizona or Texas or any of the warmer places, and you know you're going to head up to Wyoming, Nebraska, you know, Oregon, any of these places where it's going to be below freezing, you're going to want to get some fuel additive so that your fuel doesn't gel up. If you're fueling in places where, you know, where it's snowing and stuff like that, usually at like a certain point in the year, like around I don't know, I'm just talking out my butt, but probably around the 1st of November, when the temperatures start dropping, they automatically start adding the additive to the fuel at the pump, so you don't even have to worry about it. But if you're fueling before you get to these places that get that cold, then you're going to need to put in your own additive. A good thing too is to stop, you know, take advantage of that Love's Tire Pass. Make sure all your tires are good, you know, all inflated properly. And then make sure you trip plan. Figure out where you're going. Check the weather reports. And you know, make some designated stops. You know, if there's places where there could be road closures, you know, make sure that you know ahead of time where you can stop. Because like here in Wyoming, we have no cell signal. So as soon as we hit Evanston, if you don't know about where your stops are, you're just going to be driving blind, and hopefully you know where to go. So kind of plan ahead and know where stops are and where you want to shut down for the night, things like that. A few things to keep with you along with your clothes and your food that you should have. Make sure that you get like the -30 icebreaker washer fluid. If you don't have the below freezing washer fluid, then when you get snow and ice and everything caked up on your window, you're not going to be able to get it off. And your washer fluid's going to freeze, and you're not going to have anything. You're just going to be screwed. And then also, if you last year we were in Nebraska and we shut it down for the night at Grand Island. Well, when we popped the brakes, we popped the tractor and trailer. Well, a good advice is don't pop your trailer brakes because they might freeze. Because it's nice and hot while you're driving, but then you stop and those really low temperatures and it'll freeze. Well, our brakes froze on the trailer, and my husband, he was out there, he was banging on the drums and everything, trying to unstick it. They'll tell you, pump your brakes, that should undo it. It doesn't. We ended up having to get a can of brake cleaner, and you spray that on the pads and all that, and it'll melt the ice, and you can unstick your brakes if you get them stuck. So it's good to have a can or two of that on hand. It's important when you're driving in weather like this that you make sure that your fuel tank is full and that you have all the supplies you need. I cannot stress enough, because like last night, if I hadn't pulled into this TA, we could have been stuck on the side of the road somewhere, and we would have no access to food, water, facilities, anything. So it's really important, because there can be accidents, things shut down. You could be literally stuck for 2 or 3 days before you can actually go anywhere, especially if you get stuck on the side of the highway. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're prepared. I can't stress enough, just slow down. It's not a race. Your license is not worth it. Your life is not worth it.
Gay!
So in short, for the winter driving tips, have a couple days of food and water, warm clothes, warm bedding. Make sure that you trip plan, know where you're going, know your stops. Make sure that you have the additive for your fuel, de-icer for your windshield wipers. Check your tires, check your truck. Make sure you have your chains. Grab some brake cleaner. Most importantly, take your time, slow down. Don't end up in a ditch. It's just free. It's not worth your life. It's not worth your CDL. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and catch you on the flip side.